Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Infinite Reimagined podcast, Oops All Co-Hosts edition. I am Nick Davis.
And I am Matt Chapmond.
And today we are going to talk to you guys about our favorite and least favorite video game adaptations of movies. But before we get into that, Matt, what are you playing right now?
I have been playing. I haven't been playing much recently. I haven't had a chance. I've been very busy to get on there, but I've been watching a few things. I recently binged seasons 2 and 3 of Squid Game, which because I had watched the first season back when it had aired, and then I fell off, and then so I binged them, and that was a good time. I recently watched a bunch of movies because for one of my shows on my channel, I do every week is a different theme, and the theme I did for this last week was the best in cinematography. So I got to watch a bunch of just absolutely beautiful movies. 2001: A Space Odyssey, the assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford.
That movie's brilliant.
It is. And Roger Deakins, who is the cinematographer on that, is my favorite cinematographer. A lot of people say, for good reason, that is the best shot movie of this century, which I can see why. That's not my favorite of his, but I love him so much that every movie he makes. Blade Runner 2049 is probably my favorite movie he's ever shot. Like the photography in that movie is just so good. But I also watched a recent movie, the West Side Story, the remake, the Steven Spielberg one. That movie did not win Best Cinematography at the Oscars, and they were robbed because that is the most beautiful movie of 2022, 2021, 2022. I don't remember what year it was. It was the most beautiful movie of that year. I think Dune won, which makes sense also.
That is a spectacle movie. You kind of have to go there.
Yeah. But yeah, so I've been watching a lot of those fun things. I actually just started season 2 of the show Shiny Happy People, which is a documentary series on Prime. Just started, and I started watching that. And the reason I started watching it is because I watched season 1 because season 2 is something I knew was going to trigger me. And I was like, and that means I have to watch it. But season 1 is just like about the Duggars, the 19 Kids and Counting thing, and the cult that they were in, and all the bad business that happened with them. But season 2 is about the cult of teen Christianity, which I grew up in a evangelical Christian household. Like that was I think so. And very much into all of that culture. So I'm watching this, and I haven't finished yet. It's only 3 episodes, but I haven't finished yet. I just started watching season 2 last night. But just 2 episodes in, and I'm definitely triggered. My dog is now triggered.
Yep.
Hush. But just 2 episodes in, because like I said, I grew up in that culture, and the whole like church is a rock concert, and all of the you're trying to recruit all the kids to save the lives and make the money, and that's the important thing. But like I carry a lot of religious trauma from that, and I know that's a buzzword these days, trauma, religious trauma, and people roll their eyes at it, but it's a real thing. Listen to me. I was 36, 36, married, 3 kids before I could admit that I was queer, and that is completely due to the trauma of going through all of that. It's like, and you know, nothing's changed. I love my wife. I have absolutely zero reason to ever leave her. There's
Yeah.
nothing changes in my life except for the freedom and the feeling of being able to admit who I am and to be able to
Yeah.
say publicly who I am, that kind of thing. Like
Oh, for sure.
there's a real freedom and identity, and that's what I found with it. The kids too. I'll also keep the kids, not just the wife. But
Don't have to throw them out.
don't throw them out. There's a real freedom and identity, and
Mm-hmm.
that's the kind of thing that this is really triggering. Just seeing how all of these kids, and I hope a lot of them have gotten out of it. I know a lot of them haven't, but I'm just hoping as I watch this, I'm like, I hope they found true peace somewhere, because they aren't finding it there, even though it feels like they are.
My partner grew up in Utah in the 90s, and also queer, and the child of immigrants in Utah. And like there's so many different programs that she watches that are, MLM deprogramming and like cult deprogramming, and like she keeps hoping that she's going to watch some of these videos of people leaving the Mormon church, and hope that she's going to see people that she knew when she was a kid, and she's seen a couple. So that's
nice. It's funny because like when you look back at the like my upbringing and the upbringing of I'm sure your partner's upbringing, that like you look back at it and the idea of that being a cult does not make any sense to you. Like that, right. You can never see that when you're in it. And even especially for me, I mean, growing up in the Mormon church, I'm sure that there was a lot more of the, hey, you're in a cult, because it wasn't mainstream Christianity.
Well, and hilariously for her, she wasn't part of the church. She was just adjacent to it because she lived in Salt Lake City.
That's true. Yeah, I guess that is true. But like just being in in those situations, you never think about how that could be a cult. And if someone told you, you'd laugh at them. But then looking back now, I'm just like, that is, and it's funny, the information age really opened our eyes, especially, the further we get along and the more people's voices we are hearing, it opens our eyes to all this stuff that now when I hear it, I now know all of those signs, the programming and and what all of that looks like. And I'm just like, oh God, that was what was happening. And so this documentary series is really good, but it is triggering if you've been in that kind of a thing. But that's all right. Sometimes I need to get triggered. It helps me. It helps
you process.
It does help you process.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I spent that time talking about religious trauma. So what you been watching?
Actually, I'm gonna piggyback off of you. Nice. I'm very bad at keeping up with modern media, and recently my partner and I watched the movie Sinners, and oh my God, that is probably like the cinematography, the symbolism of everything you're seeing on screen, the idea that the villain character Remick is selling fellowship. That's the whole thing is it ties beautifully. It dovetails into the religious trauma and the cinematography, and hands down one of the best movies I've ever seen. It's a movie with something to say.
Yep.
And it isn't heavy-handed, or it doesn't beat you over the head with it, but it makes sure that you understand the message by the end of the film.
Right. Well, and that's Ryan Coogler, the director. It's funny because he's made movies like Fruitvale Station and Sinners, but he's also made a Rocky sequel and a Marvel movie. And both of those things were exquisite movies, like you wouldn't expect. So it's that dude is he's so talented. I love that movie. I Lied to You scene, the where he's singing his song and it's going all around the room, and just the generations of music, that thing. I saw that in theater. I had an out of body experience during that. I was like, oh my god, that is one of the most beautiful scenes I've ever seen. It's so well done. And you're right, that lead guy, uh, it feels very religious, but not just that. They like cast the perfect person, because that dude is so charming that
Mhm.
it's it's hard to hate him as a character, because he's just so charming and so interesting. And and when you talk about religion, like, that is the way that religion operates. Like, it's all about the charisma. The he has a high charisma. Like, that's the thing.
Yeah,
And
yeah. Looking at like a game stats,
yeah,
like that guy is all charisma, and it like the way he sells it as a character is wild.
he's so
Um,
good. Yeah,
just such a good movie.
it's so good. I agree.
Well, let's get into our topic for today. We tasked ourselves with coming up with our two favorite and our two least favorite um, video game adaptations of a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you lead off with your two least favorites?
Okay, so I'm gonna start. Okay, the first one is actually, if you watched our last episode 2, is one that I actually talked about briefly. But that is Fight Club, the video game. And the reason, and I talked about it at the time, is that, okay, and before I go into this, let me preface, because I know I've said this to Nick, but just behind the scenes, we have a lost episode, and it was during that. But I fully believe that once art has left the artist and is in the hands of the consumer, it no longer belongs to the artist. Intellectually, yes, it belongs to them. Legally, it belongs to them. But interpretation and stuff like that no longer belongs to the artist. Like, at that
The
point,
message and the way that it's received,
everything about it, about the consumption of it, that all belongs to the consumer, the person who is receiving the information. And that's how I feel about all art. That's how I feel about paintings. That's how I feel about movies. That's how I feel about everything. Once it is left, their intention is important if it's important to you. If it is not important to you, then it's not important. And that's pretty much how it is. That being said, the people who made the Fight Club video game did not understand Fight Club the movie or the book or anything. Like, they understood that they wanted to make a fighting game, and they, I guess, had to deal with whoever, Warner, Universal, and yeah. So, and the thing with it is, like, if it had been a fighting game that also had a story or had anything going for it other than it just being a very brutal fighting game, we might be able to talk about it. But it's just a fighting game. There's
literally zero story,
story, nothing about toxic masculinity, nothing about commercialism, consumerism, like, none of that. There's nothing about terrorism. There's nothing about anything that Fight Club is saying. It's literally just a fighting game.
One of the best lines in Fight Club, both the movie and the book, is when he very it's Ed Norton's character in the movie, very dryly says, "The things we own end up owning us." Mm-hmm. And like, it's very much this idea that, like, break this cycle of consumerism and capitalism, and you sit down to play Fight Club the game, and it is just like, there's a guy on the right side of the screen, you're gonna punch him in the face.
Right. Exactly. And yes, and it's interesting, that quote. That's a very good quote. The things we own end up owning us, because that's what happened with this video game.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
They who Universal or whoever owned the rights to this game and ended up owning them. But yeah, it's if it didn't have a pink bar of soap with the words Fight Club carved into it on the cover, it would be unrecognizable as a Fight Club game. So yeah,
it could just as easily be like a Streets of Rage clone.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
like,
absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah, yeah, Mortal Kombat, any of those type of like Street Fighter, any of those type of just
yeah.
beat 'em ups. Like that's what it is. And so yeah, it's insane. And I remember I was excited when that came out because
Yeah.
I was like, I love this movie. Let's see what it's going to have to say. Let's see how they twist this. I was really hoping they were going to twist the fighting game and deconstruct it and make it something interesting. And then I played for a little bit. I was like, it's just a fighting game, but maybe it becomes something else. Because the movie just starts out as a fighting movie, like it's
Right.
fine. But no, it never became anything else. And I was like, wow, this game does not understand what it's doing. Like it's
Not at all.
The other game is actually one that I have seen played, but I've never played, and that's and I picked it just because I think it's interesting. When it comes to bad video games like that, I've played a lot because I worked in a video store for 8 years, and I would just basically take home whatever I wanted, and we had video games. So I played a lot of these movie-based games. But if they were bad, I didn't play them very long, and I never really got into much of them. Because so it wasn't like when I was a kid, and if I played a game, it's because I spent the money on it, and now I have to see this game through. It was never anything
Sunk
like that.
cost.
Yeah, sunk cost, exactly. So I never. So most games I ever that I have seen the game E.T. the Extraterrestrial played on from Atari, but I never actually played it. But this game is legendary. It was so bad that number one, they sold almost no copies. The fact that anybody could have seen somebody play it is kind of interesting. I haven't seen it personally. I've actually just seen a video of somebody playing it. So
I've watched a YouTube video of it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's exactly what you think it is.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And the so the gameplay is bad. People didn't like it. They were like, "Wow," because that movie is so good, and that you're marketing this to these kids who went and saw this movie that was groundbreaking at the time, and they get this game that is not only is it like the same as everything else, but it's just worse. Like it's almost like a Pitfall clone, but like just far worse game, and
It's like Pitfall with Frogger.
Yes,
think.
exactly. Like, yeah, it's that. And they're like, but there's dots on the screen that we've called Reese's Pieces. And it's like, well, you can call them that, but that doesn't make this feel more like E.T. But it was so poorly received and so undersold that there was a rumor for years, for 30 years or something, that they had taken all of them and just put them in a landfill in the ground in New Mexico and covered it up. And that was a rumor, like one of those like early
urban legends.
Early internet urban legends. Turns out, I think 2011 is when this happened. They went and found the hole in New Mexico, and it was full of ET cartridges from the Atari.
Thousands of copies of it.
Which is so cool because it's something that you hear about for years, and then suddenly it's like, oh wow, this is real. What other internet urban legends are real? Probably not many of them, but it is fascinating to think about that there are some that are interesting. So
and like you said, that game is legendarily bad. It's it's out there.
Yeah. Let's talk about your least favorites.
My least favorites. First one I'm going to go with is Cliffhanger the game. Cliffhanger was early 90s or late 80s game or movie.
93,
Stallone,
I think it was.
Yeah, Stallone movie. It was a decent action flick. I can't remember much of the plot aside from that they were on the mountain and they needed to scale the mountain. Cliffhanger the game is a platformer shooter.
Mm-hmm.
There were not that many guys that Stallone had to shoot in that movie.
No.
and it's like you have all of the weird like belaying equipment, and like you can cross these vines across these pits, and like you get the cut scenes of the real pivotal moments from the movie, but it's NES, so it's 8-bit, and you're just like, I'm not sure what I'm actually seeing here. It is, not only did it misunderstand what made Cliffhanger a fun movie to watch, which was the tension of will they make it or won't they, but it turned it upside down and made it an action piece, pure action.
Right.
So, you know, you've got to blast the guy off of the cliff over here, and then you have to use your belaying equipment to swing. And it's just like, it was about cooperation and surviving in the elements, not about blasting dudes off of cliffs.
Right. It was, I remember, I again, this is one that I haven't played, but I had a buddy who had it on Genesis.
Oh.
And so I've watched him play it, and it was, you talk about Streets of Rage, you talk about Double Dragon. It felt like that, which is not what the movie is at all.
Yeah.
You think about that movie, there's one thing that everybody remembers from that movie, and it's the scene where he's holding on to the woman and she slips out of his hand. Like, yeah. that is what that movie is to almost everybody. And that's fine. You can go beyond what that moment, but at least try to make that part, like make that tension part of it. And it's NES, Sega Genesis. It's that early thing. It's harder to try to make an action game have that kind of tension, but at least attempt to make the climbing and the scaling part of the game. But no, it's Double Dragon. It's Double Dragon with Stallone in
it. and platforming. Like it's not like you are just trying to climb to the next layer up and traverse left and right. That's it.
Yeah.
Absolutely terrible. My second pick for terrible movie adaptations, and this one is legendarily bad for a lot of reasons, but it is Street Fighter the movie, the game. This one was on the PS1 and the Sega Saturn. It was full motion video of the actors from the Street Fighter movie, which was based on the Street Fighter 2 video game. And by that, I mean they used the same names as the characters, and let Raul Julia just chew up as much screen time as he wanted. And it, like, the gameplay, it did not play like a Street Fighter game. You had, like, Ryu and Ken had their Hadoukens, and Guile had his flash kick, but like none of the move, like the input entries were the same as they were on the previous games. It was full motion video rather than animated, with FMV backgrounds as well, and like it was choppy and bad. They didn't have the actors voice the characters, despite the fact that it was fully voice acted. And it didn't tell the story that the movie told.
Right. Yeah, this one I have played. I played it on the Sega Saturn because my dad, there was a Sega Saturn at my dad's house, so when I'd go visit, there was a Sega Saturn there, and I played this, and I remember that the VHS copy of Street Fighter the movie had an ad for this game at the beginning, which I thought was, I don't know, maybe it's not weird because you're trying to sell a thing, and that makes sense.
Street Fighter the movie. For Sega Saturn and Sony PlayStation will blow you away. light years beyond any other game in the Street Fighter universe. It's the gut-wrenching fight of your life. Experience non-stop action with eye-popping digitized graphics. Battle head-to-head with the stars of the movie. Attack and defend with hundreds of outrageous moves. The clock is ticking. The world is watching. And the fight has just begun. Street Fighter the movie for Saturn and PlayStation is coming soon. Out here, it's a whole other game.
But you're already, like, before you even watch the movie, anybody who's not familiar, you are removing any imagery that that relates to its source material and only giving them imagery of this movie, which is maybe fine. Maybe that they were hoping that people would think about that or something, but
they found a way with that to alienate both people who were familiar with the source material and people who had no idea of the source material.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Everyone walks into that movie going, what the hell?
Right. I will say Raul Julia in that movie is brilliant. He's the thing that makes that movie watchable at all. And yes, he gets to do whatever he wants. But he also is a legend, and I love him as Bison.
The one line that everyone remembers from that movie, for me, it was Tuesday.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
amazing.
It's brilliant, and it was his last role because he passed away shortly after that, which is sad. But and you know, in some ways, it's very sad that his last movie was a terrible, terrible movie. But in some ways, it's all right. Like but you left on this legendary this legendary performance.
The thing is, like, his performance in that movie was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
The movie itself was fun. It doesn't have to be good to be enjoyable. And that movie, there's parts of it that are decent, but the whole thing is fun.
I agree. There is a lot of fun stuff in that movie, and mostly it's Raul Julia. But if you're familiar with the source material, that movie is more baffling, really, because things like this guy from Brussels playing the American hero from that. Just all of it really. But there's also things I never thought I'd see in live action, like Vega and stuff like that. I was like, well, that's super cool. I just wish they would had more time. Like, I wish that movie was better so that we could see more of that stuff in other movies. But
better video game adaptations of movie adaptations of video games.
Which, here's the thing, and they probably could still do that today because they just did it with Mortal Kombat. While I think both of the original movies are both bad and very good, I love both of the original movies. The new one is very good and just fine. So it's like it's not terrible, but it's a lot of fun, and I enjoy it, and I'm very excited about the sequel.
And in the newest Mortal Kombat game, there are in-game advertisements for the sequel to the original Mortal Kombat movie, starring Johnny Cage from the game.
Oh wow, nice!
Which is the levels of meta on that joke it goes deep. I think it's brilliant.
That's incredible.
I did want to say, for an honorable mention on horrible games, there was an episode of The Simpsons after the movie Waterworld came out that was Milhouse playing Waterworld the game on the arcade. It was like $20 to play it. Someone developed the entire game, and you can play it for free somewhere online. I watched a streamer play it. It took them 45 minutes to beat the game. And it counts every time you have to to drop your quarters into the game. You have to manually drop your quarters into the game.
Wow.
And it tells you how much money you spent. And the streamer that I watched spent somewhere in the ballpark of like $300 beating this game.
Wow.
It is absolutely terrible and hilarious and just everything I could hope for.
Nice. Speaking of, and just a small tangent, speaking of The Simpsons, but not really The Simpsons, animated television. Another thing I watched this morning was my first new episode of South Park in about 20 years, because that episode has been talked about and it's making Trump mad, and I was like, I have to watch it. It was as funny as it was 20 years ago. Maybe this is a fluke. I don't know. Maybe it's always been as funny as it was 20 years ago, but that episode, funny as it ever was.
There's a thing that I found with South Park that, like, when I was a kid, when I started watching South Park, it was, dick and fart jokes. It was just potty humor. And that was funny because I was 15 or whatever.
Right.
And Matt and Trey grew as comedians, as writers, and their shtick became, or their pastiche, I guess, became more social commentary and like make you question the status quo.
Mm-hmm.
And you look back at the old episodes, and there is no deeper meaning to Mr. Hanky the Christmas Pooh, right?
Right.
But as they get further and further in, it's dick and fart jokes peppered into social commentary. So you stay entertained while you are actually thinking about life in a really bizarre way. Like, they thread a really hard needle.
Right. Yeah, I agree. And it was delightful, and it made me kind of want to, maybe I'm a South Park watcher again. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. What I love about that show, if you haven't seen it, I recommend the documentary 6 Days to Air, because it talks about how they make an episode from conception to delivery in 6 days, and that's why the show is so topical.
Yeah.
But it's funny because I'm watching the thing and it's making Colbert jokes, like about him getting his show getting canceled, and I'm like, you would never see that. Like, even Saturday Night Live struggles to be that quick on the topic. Like, it's like that's pretty much their only contention they have in terms of, or the only what's the word I'm looking for? That in terms of like being topical, that's their only rival, really.
It's the edge that they hold over any of the other edgy adult animation.
Right. Is that they get to be very topical, and there was the jokes in it. They always feel so crisp when you're watching it live. And now I'm realizing, hey, this is why I used to love the show, is because it was such a short creation time. Everything felt so crisp and on the money, and that it didn't have time to age. Like, in 2 months, that Colbert joke is not going to be nearly as funny as it is today. But it's the fact that the Colbert stuff is happening literally right now, and it's their same company. Like, Paramount owns CBS, like, and Comedy Central. Like, it's the same company. That is good shit right now.
It's like you said, topical and edgy, and like, the other thing about it, for me primarily, is that it's not punch down humor anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It is almost always swinging upward, which
and
feels good.
Even when the jokes feel like they are punching down, like even when the jokes are at the expense, it seems like it's expense at somebody lower on the social economic ladder. It's actually a joke about something. Like, for instance, in this episode, they say the R word and the F word, the bad ones, a few times, but at no point do you feel like they're calling anybody actually that. That is actually a joke against the people who would freely use those words. And to me that makes it fine. As a queer man, I have no problem with their use of that F word in that context at all.
There's an episode from several seasons back with the biker gang that comes into town, and they try and repurpose the F word for the bikers. And same thing, as a person who has been called that word more than a few times in my life. I feel like that episode really just took the piss out of it. Like that word is, at the end of this episode, this word has absolutely no meaning to me. It means nothing. It's great. Well, let's talk about some good video game movies. Or I'm sorry, movie-based video games. What are your two?
All right. So number one is a game that I picked it, and I have some others that maybe would have reached. So I will say my honorable mention. It's here are basically most of the Lord of the Rings games. Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King, like that game is very, very good. But also Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War, which are set in that same universe. They're so good. But I kind of wanted to talk about something that I feel like doesn't get talked about as much, and one that I love. I've actually played and beaten this game on 3 different systems because I was like, oh, hey, I have access to a PlayStation now. I already beat it on Xbox 360. I can beat it on PlayStation 3 now. Like, yeah. And then someone moved. A roommate moved in, and they had a Wii, and that is on the Wii. I was like, I'll beat it on the Wii now. And that is The Godfather from 2006. That video game. Which it's overshadowed by games that are very similar, Grand Theft Auto and stuff like that. Also, Mafia was releasing games around the same time as that Godfather was releasing these. There's something about the music and the story, because it's not a direct adaptation. It's happening during the events of the Godfather movies, and you intersect with the characters and stuff like that. But there's just something about how it feels like it belongs in that universe that I really love about it. It's a game that understands its movie 100%. And it's just a comfort thing. I wouldn't beat it 3 times on 3 different systems if it just didn't bring me some sort of comfort, and it does. And
there's the gameplay loop on that game was really legitimately fun. Like it felt good to play in a time when, like, I think that was the same time that Grand Theft Auto 3 was out, the one before San Andreas.
It was a little bit after that. It was right before. It was right after San Andreas, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, it was right before 4. Grand Theft Auto 4 came out.
Okay. And like in those games, you had before San Andreas, you had the silent protagonist, and you didn't really have any choice or voice in your game. You also had Saints Row that did the same thing. It was a cheap, crappy Grand Theft Auto knockoff,
right?
And it became something so much better, and then became something so much worse.
Right.
But like that game definitely understood its source material. It intersected with all the points that it needed to tell its own side story and still make you feel like you were big and important, even though you weren't the main character.
Right. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's a great choice.
Yeah. And it's just, I really love that game. It made me want to play it again. Actually, having these conversations with you, like in our chats, talking about games and stuff like that, I'm like, I've got enough games to play. I don't need to download Shadows of Mordor. I don't need to download The Godfather. I'm just like, I don't need to find those games and play them again.
I've still got Shadow of War installed on my computer. That's the game that I will boot up just when I need to mindlessly run around and just vent some frustrations. Like I'm just gonna mind control some orcs for a while.
Right. Oh, it's such a good game.
So good.
The second one I chose was The Matrix Path of Neo. This game came out after the movies were all done, or after the first 3 movies were done, because they did come out with the 4th one. After the first 3 movies were done, and after they had already made a Matrix video game. The interesting thing is when the first Matrix came out, a lot of us gamers were just like, man, that would make such a good video game, because it basically is a video game inside the thing. And it's like, I would just love to get in there and have to do karate as Neo, you know, and then later go do some shooting and then all this stuff. It's like, and then the second one came out and it's like even more video gamey. You're just like, this is all video game stuff. We need a video game. And so then they released Enter the Matrix, which you don't play as Neo, you play as Ghost and Nairobi. And that was a fun game. It was good. It kind of scratched an itch that you were looking for on that. It ended terribly. That game ends with you having to drive the Nebuchadnezzar through like a tunnel, and I did terribly. I was awful at it. I hit every wall trying to drive it through there, but I still like didn't fail. Like I still made it. So it's like almost like an
what are the stakes here?
There are no stakes on this last thing that I was so frustrated with. It sucks. And you get to the end, and there's a trailer for Matrix Revolutions. And I was like, this is what I was playing toward. I've seen this trailer. they already released this trailer. So that was frustrating, but the game was still good. Like it still scratched an itch, but still, I was just like, I think a lot of people were just like, look, we like this, but we want to play as Neo. And so after the movies came out, they made The Path of Neo, and it did everything we thought it was going to do. It put us into those training modules with him doing karate and all of that. It let us play through the game and run on walls and do all of the very interesting and fun stuff without the philosophy stuff, which I think is important for the movies, but not necessarily important for the game. And I think that made the game really, really good. And then you get to the end of that one, and the Wachowskis, who at the time were still going by the Wachowski brothers, but they were not, can't pop in, but they pop in as these little, like, very cubed avatars. I think they were red and blue avatars, but I'm not sure they were colored. They didn't look human at all. And they were like, hi, we're Dead Name and Dead Name. And they were like, this is, we love the whole Jesus ending, but that doesn't really work for a video game. So here you're going to fight a big Agent Smith made out of a bunch of little Agent Smiths. And that's what you do. And that was pretty cool. I've since realized in the years since then that I bet they appeared as those little avatars because they couldn't publicly show themselves as they were because of where we were in the world.
Yeah.
And I bet that's probably what happened, but I don't know. But anyway, so that it was just a fun game. It was what we wanted. It's one of those rare instances where, and I don't think a consumer should always get what they want. I don't think that just because someone complains about something means that they should change the thing to make it more applicable. Number one, give us what the artist wanted us to have. Number two, do you know how often that sucks when they actually give us what we want? We realize we don't really want that because there's a reason they didn't ever do it. They didn't do it in the first place. This is a rare instance where they gave us what we wanted, and it was awesome.
The thing we wanted executed correctly is a rare thing. Mm-hmm. And it's one of those things that if you portion it out too liberally, it makes the consumer feel like they have more power and more say than they do, which is maddening. Mm-hmm. But every once in a while you get a Path of Neo out of it. And You are not the first person I've heard absolutely rave about that game. I've never played it myself. I have watched gameplay of it, and it looks both fun and good, which is, again, a tough needle to thread.
Right. Yeah. So those are my games. Another honorable mention, just real quick. Sega Genesis, Pathfinder. I about to say Pathfinder. Actually, I did say Pathfinder, but I didn't mean it. Pagemaster, the video game. is I played the hell out of that when I was a kid. You go through horror, then you go through adventure, then go through fantasy. So there's like 3 to 5 levels. I don't know I remember how many of each of those, and to get to the end, there are moments from that game that are seared in my brain that I sometimes think are from the movies, but they're not. Like anytime like one of the things you collect throughout is his library card. Each little area has his library card, and he'll go, "My library card." But that's not a line from, I mean, it is a line from the movie, but it's not a clip from the movie. It's a clip from this game. And I always hear it in my head as
That's awesome.
But yeah, that game was awesome. For that kind of Sega game, it was amazing. And I just wanted to honorable mention that, but I'd like to hear about yours now.
My good picks, I'm going to start with the Sega Genesis Demolition Man video game. Demolition Man, one of my favorite movies of all time. It is a really good brain popcorn movie. You don't have to think too hard about it. There's a lot that you can examine, and you can have a lot of fun examining, a lot of odd philosophy that you can really play with. The game does not trouble you with the philosophy. You are what was his name? John Spartan.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's a Stallone movie. And like in the movie, he was this big hero cop who accidentally blew up a building trying to catch his nemesis, and as a result, he was cryogenically frozen for 100 years. And he was awakened in a gentler, kinder future where it's more the utopia that a lot of us want to see, where his rival Simon Phoenix is just running amok, and he has to use these nonviolent methods to try to take him down in the movie. In the game, you are playing a hyper-violent sociopath, and you are just kind of blasting fools who just melt into gore puddles every time you shoot them. There are no citizens, no civilians, there's no collateral damage you need to think about. You are just running through the streets, mowing down bad guys. It plays so good. It is fun. It's platformy. It's basically a Contra clone. And you get to have the fight with Simon Phoenix at the end, and you get to, just like in the movie, you get to shatter him with the cryogenic freezing whatever. And like, don't get me wrong, it does not tell the story of Demolition Man, but it beats ass as a game.
Now that one I have played, and you're right, it's awesome. And here's the thing: it doesn't have to tell the story of the movie or whatever, but it clearly understands what we're going for with that character, at least.
Yes,
which I think is incredible. Yeah. Yep. I have played that. I really love that as well.
I think my number 2, this is something that's a fondness from my childhood in general. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I think anyone who, grew up in the 80s and 90s had that phase, and some people grew out of it and some people did not. But I feel like the Lego Star Wars games thread the needle of what makes Star Wars so magical really, really well. There's no super complex puzzles. There's no like crazy problem solving. There's no like just throwing guys at the problem until you solve it. Mm-hmm. It's just fun. The gameplay loop is great. You get to find collectibles. You get to play as every single character that you fight or that you encounter. It's just good.
Yes. I remember when that first one came out, and I'm a Lego guy. I've been a Lego guy my whole life. So like that was exciting. I'm a Star Wars guy. I've been a Star Wars guy my whole life. So that was exciting. And it was just great. It was so much fun. And you're right. Exactly. It's like, it's similar to something that came out later than that, which was Little Big Planet, which is the idea that something can be simple and fun and still great. And I absolutely loved the first Lego Star Wars. I loved all of them. All of them that I've played. You know, my kids are into them too. And as my kids were growing up or getting older, and I was introducing to video games, some of the first stuff I introduced them to was the Lego games, and we'd play all kinds, because then after that, Lego was making all kinds of properties that I love into Lego games.
Indiana Jones,
exactly. Here's a funny thing about Indiana Jones is I bought it, the Lego Indiana Jones. I bought it from at like a midnight release for that game. I bought it. I played it basically until the next night and beat it. And I remember calling it was EB Games, Electronic Boutique. I called them and I said, "Hey, what is the trade-in value for Lego Indiana Jones?" And I will never forget this when this guy said, "Can you tell me why?" The tone in his voice when I was like, one day later was asking if I could trade it in. He was like, "Can you tell me why?" And I was like, "Oh, because I loved it, but I've beaten it, and I work in a video game store, and if I want to play it again, I'll get it." So I'm just curious because I really liked it, but I'm not sure why I bought it. But yeah, Indiana Jones, Batman, the Batman games, Lego games are so good. Really,
the DC and Marvel superheroes games, they're fun. And again, I first played the Lego Star Wars. It was the original trilogy on the Xbox 360. Mm-hmm. There is not a single puzzle in that game that you can't just solve by holding it was either the X button or the B button. Mm-hmm. And the puzzle solves itself by you using the Force or you rebuilding it as a droid or whatever.
Right.
Like I'm not a person. I am a very blunt force object in video games. I don't do puzzles well. It just doesn't work for me. Right. So making a puzzle that even I am just like, oh yeah, this is just fun to watch. I love the way those games land. Every single one of them.
And like we were talking about before, and like you've been mentioning about those puzzles, like anybody can play them and anybody can have fun while playing them. So my kids are growing up, I'm playing those games with them. We are both having a great time. And that's very important. So yes, I agree. I think a game's great. I really love that.
Well, I think that about wraps up what we were here to talk about today. So let's call it at that. And until you hear from all three of us again, continue to reimagine your games.